So welcome to the 32nd session of Bhagavad Gita with technology interludes for ages 8 and up. So in the last session, we covered Sloka from the 5th chapter, which was this. Jnanena tu tatajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham aditya vajnanam prakashayati tatparam. So we saw how ignorance is darkness, and the real knowledge of self is like light, right? So we talked a lot about that, and we talked about artificial neural networks a little bit. So now we move on to the next sloka from chapter 5 as well. This is the 18th sloka from chapter 5. So it reads like this: vidya-vinaya-sampanne brahmane gavi-hastini suni-chai vashvapake-cha panditaha samadarshinaha. Vidya-vinaya-sampanne brahmane gavi-hastini suni-chaiva svapake-cha panditaha samadarshinaha. So quite easy to understand. The words are quite easy, right? Vidya,
knowledge or
education, knowledge, yes. Vinaya,
to remove?
no. Vinaya means gentleness or politeness. And sampanne, sampurti means sampurna.
Sampatam, like what we say when something is over?
Yeah, so, yeah, when it is complete. When it is complete. So when it is fully equipped. Brahmane means Brahmana is God, right? Remember what does Brahmana mean? Ever expanding.
Expanding mind.
The expanding mind. So that is God, right? Brahmana is expanding mind. So Brahmane is in the God. Gavi means go, go. What does go mean? Gopala, you heard Gopala, right?
Yeah.
What does
Gopala? Coward.
Yeah. So what does Gopala mean?
Cow?
No, you see, you yourself said cowherd.
No.
Right? Gopala means cowherd. So what are the two words in the
cow and herd?
Right. So what is cow?
An animal.
No, what is the word for cow? Go. In Gopala? Yeah, go. So Gavi means in the cow. Hastini. Hastina.
Oh, like
Hasti.
Hastinapur?
Yeah, Hasti. Hasti means elephant. Kalahasti is a famous place in
India?
In India. So it's a story of how a snake enters into the elephant's nose, trunk. Kalahasti. Kala is a serpent, and Hasti is a elephant. So Hastini means in the elephant. Shuni means in the dog. Cha and Eva, certainly. Swapake. Swapake means somebody who, paka is like cooking. So somebody who cooks and eats a dog. So in this sloka, in olden days, the poor people, they wouldn't be able to find much food, right? So they used to eat dogs and stuff like that. In India, I mean. So they were considered as outcasts. That means
people who don't fit in as well.
right, right, who are
Asocial.
in the peripheries of civilization, right? So that is why swapake refers to somebody who is really not well respected. You can think of it like that. Cha is and
Like
respectively kind of thing. Panditaha
the ones
means
who are smart.
yeah,
Pundits.
those who are wise. Yeah, those who are pandits. Sama means equal. Darshana means vision, right? Darshan means vision or sight. So most of the words are pretty familiar, at least to people who know Indian languages. Most of these words are familiar. So the meaning is the wise, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. So in this case, Brahmana is being referred to the sect of people who are engaged in worshipping, like the priests.
So basically, they're saying that the wise people can see from many different levels. Like they're very sympathetic in some ways, that they can like take a walk in other people's shoes and understand what they're going through.
Yeah. That is one thing, that is one implication, and more importantly, a more direct meaning is that we should see, I mean, at least the wise, because of the virtue of their knowledge, will see everyone, every living being equally, right? So whether it be a Brahmana or like priests and who are involved in scholarly activities, uh, or a cow or an elephant or a dog or even a dog eater. Dog eaters were considered not worthy of respect by some, right? Because they're in the peripheries of civilization. So you can make so many good dishes with just vegetarian food, right? Why do we need to eat dogs?
Why do we even eat meat?
Right. So, but what God is telling here is that we should not show such distinction. We should not show distinction between a dog eater, a dog, or a learned person who is involved in scholarly activities.
Because it's not nice.
Yeah, because it's not along the lines of the knowledge, self-knowledge. So someone who has self-knowledge will not do this, will not discriminate across people. Right? So this is what Lord Krishna said many years ago. And today what is happening?
Everybody is treated differently.
No, yeah, everybody is being treated differently. And then there's a lot of movement towards non-discrimination, right? The Black Lives Matter and Pride, LGBT, all that is non-discrimination. So the same thing that Lord Krishna said many, many years ago is now a very big, hot topic. Everyone is saying that we should not be discriminating, we should show equity, we should respect diversity, and we should make sure that our processes are inclusive. So inclusion and diversity is at the top today, right, in the society. So all that was nicely put in this sloka many years ago.
So all of these things happened many years ago, like discrimination or
Yeah,
discriminate?
discrimination certainly, I mean, human beings tend to discriminate, right? Discrimination is one of the human qualities, right? But unfortunately, that quality has been misused. It is not meant to be used to discriminate between people or between living creatures. It is meant to discriminate between good and bad. But unfortunately, people started misusing their discrimination power to discriminate between living beings. So, see, does the sun show any discrimination?
No, it shines on everybody.
It shines on everybody, right? Every living creature, it shines equally. It doesn't discriminate. Sun does not discriminate. How about wind?
No,
Does
it
it?
blows for everybody.
Yes, it blows for everybody, and all the living creatures breathe in wind, right? So there's no discrimination. Wind doesn't show discrimination. In fact, if you look at nature, nature looks upon every creature equally, right? It does not discriminate between the creatures, right? So then, why are we discriminating? See, sun is so powerful. Even the Greek used to pray to sun god. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So, so such powerful entity also does not discriminate. Wind is a powerful entity, does not discriminate. Nature is even more powerful. Lord Krishna says that nature is like the mother and he is like the father, right? Nature does not discriminate. Similarly, God does not discriminate. Then why are we discriminating? Can you tell me why? Because of our ignorance. See, the sun, the wind, the nature, they are powerful, they are strong, they are fully knowledgeable, they have knowledge. That is what makes them behave in a very elegant manner, or behave in a manner that is that we like to emulate, right? We like to be like sun, we like to be like God, we like to be like wind, right? Powerful and cleansing and all those powerful properties of sun god, the wind god, the nature. We want to be all that. So the reason we discriminate is mainly because of ignorance. Somebody who has full knowledge, 100% knowledge, will never discriminate. See, God, and what does our culture tell us? The 10 avatars of Vishnu. God was born as a fish, a cowherd, a turtle, and even a pig. Right? Pig is least respected animal, right? In any culture. If you see Lion King, there also the pig says, I mean, in one of the conversations, it comes out that the pig is a lowly creature. But God was born as a pig as well, right? So, but still we discriminate, right? We think that pig is not good. Pig is not as good as something else, and something else is not good as something else, and so on and so forth. See, another thing our heritage tells us is that no person is really low. No person. Everybody is born equally. So, for instance, who wrote Ramayana? Do you know?
Sage Valmiki. He was a thief earlier.
Right. Sage Valmiki, who was a thief earlier. Right? And who wrote Mahabharata?
Vyasa?
Yeah, Vyasa. And who is Vyasa's mother?
Fisherwoman?
Yeah, a fisherwoman, right? So Vyasa is born to a fisherwoman. Valmiki was a thief, right? But they wrote two of the most revered epics of all time, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Vyasa wrote, in fact, was responsible for the Vedas as well, classifying the Vedas, right? Vyasa is known for so many things, and his mom is a fisherwoman. So at least Valmiki was born a Brahman. So he was born in a priest's family. Then because of hunger, he turns into a thief, and then again he comes back to become a Brahman. But Vyasa, he lived in forest most of his life. He's born to a fisherwoman, but still he contributed so much knowledge. So you cannot, first thing is you cannot judge people. So just because a person is a thief, you cannot discard that person. Oh, this guy is a thief, he doesn't need any respect. No. All right. See, this concept is brought out in many ways, many instances, right? Even if you take Jesus, he was put on the cross by really some evil people or whoever. But did he have any grudge against them?
No, he was always peaceful.
He was always peaceful. In fact, he prayed for them. So Jesus was looking upon everyone as equals, right? So this discrimination is shown by people who are ignorant, not by people who are born with the right kind of knowledge, the self-knowledge. So discrimination against people and living beings arises because of limited knowledge and mostly ignorance. So it is the ignorance that makes us see Valmiki as a thief and not see the complete picture. See, Valmiki was a thief, that's right, but he was also a sage, right? So if you look at Valmiki only as a thief, what does that tell you? It tells you,
look at the negative.
Yeah, it tells you that your knowledge is incomplete, right? So the very idea of discriminating between living beings stems from ignorance. Only when we are ignorant, we tend to discriminate. So we must learn to see deep. We should really understand the person in depth and see God in every life. Only then we will lose the sense of discrimination. So you might ask, how about Rama? Rama killed Ravana, right? So did he see Ravana as equal to Hanuman? Yes or no?
No, he did not see Rama equal to Hanuman.
No, that's not true. Rama treated Ravana and Hanuman with equal respect.
Oh, Rama.
Rama. Yeah, Rama treated Ravana and Hanuman with equal respect. He did not have any grudge or any ill thoughts or bad thoughts towards Ravana, although he did something really bad. But Ravana did something bad, so he had to be given the result of his actions. So that is the reason why Rama gave him chances. Rama gave Ravana chances, plenty of chances, but he did not reform. Only then Rama decided that Ravana should be paid for his actions. Right? But other than that, he treated Ravana and Hanuman with equal respect. He never shouted at Ravana. He did not become mad at Ravana when he saw him. He did not utter even a single bad word towards Ravana, right?
Nor did he with Hanuman.
Yeah, Hanuman, of course, is his favorite brother-like person, right? So that is, see, that is perfection. Rama is embodiment of perfection. We all know that, right? So what does perfection tell you? Perfection tells you that you should be respectful towards everyone, irrespective of their backgrounds or their personalities or their work or whatever. Right? You should not discriminate. There are many, many stories which relate to this in real life, which happened in real life. Right? You take all these great people like Mahatma Gandhi, and they were so humble. They never discriminated against people. Right? So we have to cultivate that habit very much. We should not discriminate against a gender, a particular gender, a particular. Of course, we can be aware. We can be aware of the characteristics of certain things. Like, for instance, if there's a here we say that dog and the dog eater must be shown the same respect, right? Or even the Brahman, the priest, should be shown the same respect. So that does not mean that when dog is barking, we do the same thing as when a Brahmana is angry, right? Is not happy, right? So it is okay to understand the intrinsic characteristics of that creature, like the dog's personality. You can be aware of all that and you can act accordingly, but in your heart, you should not discriminate. Just like Rama did not discriminate between Ravana and Hanuman. He showed the same amount of respect to Ravana and Hanuman. He honestly believed that both of them should have a respectable life. That is, otherwise, why would anyone give chances to Ravana, right? If he was mad, he would just jump, and then the moment he got a chance, he would try to kill him. But he did not do that. He genuinely, honestly desired that Ravana is entitled to the same respectful life as Hanuman, or for that matter, any other living creature. So he gave chances, but then justice has to kick in at some point of time, right? So that's when he just gave Ravana the result of his actions. That's all. He did not do anything bad, right? So that is how you should learn to behave with all living creatures in this world. Understand their nature, but still have a respect in your heart for them, right? That is very, very important, irrespective of what category. See, when I went to India, after a few years in US, I went to India, and I traveled with a person, and with every auto driver, cab driver or taxi driver, I was addressing them as in plural, with a lot of respect, like Meeru, Andi, and all the respectful words. I was using all the respectful words. So the person traveling with me, who was in India, and who has always been in India till that time, that person was totally surprised. And because it's so different. In India, drivers and manual labor people are not given the same amount of respect, right? Which is not a good idea. Because there are reasons for that. Some people think that it is justified, but at least in the heart, you should have the same respect, even if you don't. Sometimes some things have to be done in a certain way. So that is fine. But at least in your heart, you should have the same respect. Right? So like we had a servant who used to help with all the dishes and all that stuff. Those days there was no dishwasher, right? When I was young, when I was a child. So we would give even today for that matter, in India, we give the same food that we eat to the people who help us, the maids. We don't give them leftovers. Yeah. So we treat them equally. And when I came to US, I transferred all my subscriptions, like I subscribed to a lot of magazines and things like that, right? So I transferred those subscriptions to my servant's, housemaid's son, who was in 10th grade or something like that, 10th grade. So it inspired him so much. He used to read those magazines. It inspired him so much, and he used to call me brother. It inspired. He almost took upon himself as a family member, and he grew up to those thoughts. So he's now a manager in a bank, right?
You still keep in touch?
Yeah, I still keep in touch, but not as much as before, right? So I mean, he's busy and I'm busy and things like that. But so treating everyone equally is very important, right? So today, the lawyers, the judges, the entire law and order mechanism, governments, they're all insisting that we don't show any discrimination, right? There are so many laws. Teachers are being trained to encourage inclusion and diversity and equity and all these things. But our culture preached it many, many years back. Unfortunately, some of our people did not follow this. Actually, many of our people did not follow this. The people, the people who were in the top echelons of the society, they did not follow this Loka for their own benefit, for their own selfish purposes. And now the whole culture is paying a price for that, not just them. Whole culture is paying a price for that in many ways.
That's super bad.
Sorry, Aditi, you said something?
I forgot, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, that is this is a very important sloka today, particularly. I mean, in countries like India and even in US, if somebody shows discrimination, they can be behind bars. You know that, right?
Yeah.
In India, if somebody is addressed as an outcast and things, these are all old words. The words that are put here.
Outcast?
Yeah, outcast and these kinds of words cannot be used.
Really? I
Today.
thought outcast was still used.
No, it is not used. It cannot be used against any person. It is illegal in India. It's the same thing in US. You cannot show discrimination based on race, creed, color, ethnicity, and things like that. It is by law, right?
But the thing is, USA is a democratic place, so basically, still people do what old days were like.
Even in democratic countries, we are not able to hear you clearly, but even in democratic countries, right? It is
But that doesn't mean it can be entirely avoided.
Yeah, it cannot be avoided. Even in
America, the democracy.
People are still having this racism problem, and people are still trying to stop it.
Yeah,
For some people, it's gotten to a really, really bad habit. I don't know, but yeah, it's bad.
yeah. So it is very important to follow. See, Bhagavad Gita had so many good things long back itself. Unfortunately, people forgot all these good things. And now we are reinventing the whole culture, the whole civilization is being reinvented. If we followed this right from day one, we would not have.
Do this unnecessary mess.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. We would not have gotten into this kind of unnecessary mess, right? So Bhagavad Gita tells you, has solutions to many problems. Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, all these texts, sacred texts, they have a lot of solutions. So, like we talked in, like we talked in the last class, right?
Oh,
So,
discriminating.
Every problem that you have in life can be solved in Bhagavad Gita.
yeah, that's right. So, for instance, suppose somebody is discriminated, then there is a sloka that we just learned, chapter 5, sloka 18.
Yeah.
Similarly, 19 is also related. 19th sloka is also related. But we are not going to cover that. We just sample one sloka from for the discriminator.
Next week we'll cover that, I'm thinking.
Yeah. See, in the last class we covered a few of them, but
What does feeling sinful mean? Doesn't sinful mean like somebody who has a lot of sins, or
no, feeling sinful is like guilty feeling, right?
Oh.
It's a guilty feeling is a feeling of doing something wrong. If you feel sinful, it is even worse. It is worse than guiltiness. So discriminated, there's another sloka. So when I click on this,
how can you tell if you're lazy or not?
so this is the 32nd sloka of the 6th chapter. So this is about, he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. So this is also about equality. So like that, each of these slokas is about not discriminating. Okay, what was the question?
How can you tell if you're lazy? Because it said feeling laziness as one of the categories.
So suppose you are watching TV all the time. Where was that? So if you are watching TV all the time and you don't feel like getting up, can't you make out that you're feeling lazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for feeling lazy, there are slokas, laziness. Chapter 3, sloka 8. Why is it coming here all the time? Niyatam kuru karma tat karmatvam. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Right? So this is a sloka that you should remember when you feel like you're being lazy. What else? Fear. So confusion. Suppose you feel confused. So in fact, I used to read this sloka. Why is it going this side? Maybe let us do this. So I used to read this sloka. I told you, right? in my teenage, I was a bit confused between so many things. So I used to read this sloka very carefully. See, karpanya dosha upahata svabhavaihi. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this is the kind of mood that you should be in when you are confused. On the other hand, if you are in a aggressive mode, then nothing is going to work. You'll further sink into confusion. So for the confusion to disappear, you should really be in this kind of a mode, in a receiving mode, in a submitting mode. So that is how you deal with confusion. I think last class we talked about anger, right? And suppose you feel envy, like your friend got okay, let us take this whole thing here. Suppose your friend got honor roll and you feel envious, you feel jealous. So then think of this sloka. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life.
Whoever is envious, you throw
Yes,
into the ocean.
right. So you should. This should create a kind of fear in you, fear of sin. When you are jealous of somebody, you should think that you are committing a sin, right? So this sloka helps there. If you remember this sloka, you will no longer feel envious. And death of a loved one. Suppose you lose somebody, then the sloka is.
Hey, we learned this.
Yeah, yada dehe yavanam jara tadha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. So we already know this, right? Similarly, sloka 20. Najayate priyate va kadachi. So for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, he is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Who is he? Who is the he here?
The soul?
The soul, right? So we should remember this, that it is not the body that we loved, it is the soul that we love. Right? The soul of the person who left us that we love.
And the soul will always come back or be there.
And if you are in depression, then the third sloka from the second chapter. Do not yield to this. Yeah, we just chose one actually. Yeah, we just chose probably the 14th one. No?
Yeah, get the love one.
Vidya-vinaya-sampanne nityam. Ya enam ajam avyayam. Kadam sat purusha pardha. Kam ghatayati hantikam. How can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So this is actually we covered some other slokas, right, in chapter 2. which convey similar kind of meaning, right? So for instance, this meaning. So everything comes and goes, right? So there was a sloka with this kind of meaning. So this this PDF document does not list all the slokas, right? It just listed a few slokas which can be which can be used for these situations. But there are many other slokas which may have been missed out. So loneliness is another common problem, right? So there's a sloka for that. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So there's God with you always. That's what this sloka means. Never feel lonely. And lazy greed. How about greed? Trividham narakachedam dvaram nasanam atmanaha kama krodha tadha lobha tasmat etat trayam tyajet. So there are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of soul. So anger, greed, and lust, these are all attachments. They all come from attachment. So we should give them up. So that is a sloka you should remember when you feel greedy. Right? There will be instances, believe me, each of these scenarios, every person who is born on this world will sometime or the other encounter these feelings. They will at least once in their lifetime feel angry, at least once they will feel confused, and they may deal with envy, and they of course deal with the death of loved one, depression, fear, sinfulness, loneliness, laziness, all these. But most important is the uncontrolled mind. Human beings are very badly affected by this. So there are many slokas to control that.
We know this song.
Yeah. No.
उद्धरेत् आत्मनात्मानम् आत्मानमवसादये आत्मेन आत्मनो बन्धे आत्मेयरिपुरात्मनः.
Yeah. See, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So the mind can be, it's a double-edged sword. It can be your enemy, it can be your friend. So you will have to know how to use, make the best use of it. So uncontrolled mind. There are many slokas, not just this, but so this sloka means for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Similar meaning. And how about 26? From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So that is exactly what you do in meditation. Your mind keeps wandering. You have to keep bringing it back to the attention that you are paying to. It could be breath, it could be heartbeat, it could be anything. Right? So see, all these techniques were there in theory, but the practice was what was missing. So that's the reason why Buddha had to come and Kalki has to come to tell, to remind us of all these things. Asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gujyate. We are going to cover this sloka. It's a very important sloka. in the 6th chapter. So this is the algorithm, this is the recipe to control your mind. What is the recipe? Suitable practice, abhyasa, and vairagya, detachment. So
Suitable.
practice, you have to keep practicing. Like meditation is a practice in controlling the mind, right? So practice and vairagya, detachment, those are the two important ways in which you can bring your mind to control, right? So that's about uncontrolled mind. See, for every situation, for every difficult situation in life, there is a solution in Bhagavad Gita. So, for instance, the other common problem is you lose motivation. You don't feel like studying for various reasons. Then the sloka is, therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, Savyasachi, can. Savyasachi means what does Savya mean? Savya means both. Savyasachi means ambidextrous. What is the meaning of ambidextrous? You know, what is the meaning of ambi?
Like ambitious?
Yeah, ambitious, and what else? So Savyasachi means one who is skilled in both the hands. And who is that? Who can use both the hands equally well? So he's both a left-hander and a right-hander.
God. And I mean,
No.
that's why he can create.
No. Of course, God is ultimate, but human being who is both left-handed and right-handed is
wait.
Arjuna.
Really?
Yeah, Arjuna is both right-handed and left-handed. He can use both his hands equally well.
He was born right-handed and left-handed?
Yes.
Wow.
So that is why he's called Savyasachi. So this is another motivating sloka. It'll bring that force inside you to act, right? So that is one sloka, and another sloka is in the last chapter, chapter 18, 48, the sloka 48. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by the smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. So this also ties into the other sloka that we learned, right? Swadharme nidhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. So this sloka also is conveying similar meaning. So don't leave your work, your self-nature, just because of some minor problems. Stick to it. So this is also a very motivating sloka. Similarly, the 78th sloka. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Pardho Dhanuddharaha Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhute Dhruvani Tirma Tirmama. So where there is Lord Krishna, where there is, and who is Lord Krishna is the yogi. Yogi means somebody who is in control of everything. So where there is control of everything, at least your own body, control of your own body, and where there is Arjuna, and who is Arjuna? He is the supreme archer, who is the action taker. So you should have somebody who controls, and you should also have somebody who does the action. There you will have victory, opulence. Opulence means wealth, extraordinary power, and morality.
Did Vyas say Vyasa this sloka? It doesn't sound like it was said by Krishna.
It is said by Krishna. Oh, you mean right. This is
but their mama.
yeah. Yeah, Tirmama. Yes. So yeah, this is by Vyasa actually. I think yeah, this is by
This is the
Vyasa.
last sloka.
This is the last sloka. So we are going to cover this also later. But so these are some of the slokas when you feel demotivated, and forgetfulness also there are slokas. So when you are forgetful, you um, so I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So when you remember that God is inside you, you will remember that you have memory, the power of memory, you have the power of knowledge, and you will not be forgetful. See, your will is your best power, right? So if you have the will, you have the way. That's what people say, right? So yeah, so will is very important. So these slokas cultivate that will in you. So when you have the will, you will also have memory, and you will also have the knowledge. You will not be forgetful anymore. And so temptation. So there's a nice cake in front of you, you want to eat it, but it's not good for health. So how do you control? So this is the sloka. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Controlling. So there's a sloka for temptation. So if you remember there's God inside you, you will not feel that tempted. This is another sloka. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So you keep running to satisfy your desires, there's no end, right? The flow of desires will not end in a lifetime. It will be there as long as you are not able to control it. It's like the river. So all these slokas are really very important. So for every situation, for every problem in life, you have a sloka. So that is the reason it is very important to read the Bhagavad Gita. So there are some camps where children are taught all the 700 slokas, and the children are able to recite all 700 slokas by heart. That is good, but they should also remember the meaning of the slokas, because it is the meaning which pulls you out of these situations. The sloka also helps, but more important is the meaning. It is the meaning that pulls you out of each of these situations, right? So feeling sinful is really bad. See, committing sin is bad, but feeling sinful is even worse than that. That feeling it can lead to a lot of bad things. So you should come out of that sinful feeling very quickly. So there are many slokas for that.
Doesn't Arjuna feel sinful before he's fighting the war because he doesn't want to fight his cousin?
Yeah, yeah. He thought that it is not proper to kill his own kith and kin, right? So there are slokas which will help you in that kind of situation. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So all these slokas, they really help. So I have been reading Bhagavad Gita since 1983. My dad presented this on the 6th August of 1983, which is how many years old? 30? 40?
37.
Yeah, 37. 37.
38 now.
38 years old. So I've been following Bhagavad Gita since then. Actually, before that also. Before that, we used to have a small copy of Bhagavad Gita with just the sloka and its meaning. But this book had the interpretation also. So
I still have it.
yeah, and I still have it. Right? I still have it. So it is very important that you cultivate this habit of Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata at a very young age. Because then it will guide you throughout your life. See, I went through lots and lots and lots of difficulties. Some people who went through my difficulties, the kind of even fraction of the kind of difficulties that I went through, it was devastating to them, but I survived. It's I would attribute most of that to this cultural heritage that I have. My habit of reading the Bhagavad Gita, my habit of understanding the Mahabharata, my habit of keep thinking about Lord Rama, our deity, our what do you call that, family deity. Of course, heritage, by heritage, our family deity is Kedarishwara, but who is Shiva. But while growing up, our family deity was Lord Rama, Shiva, Lord Rama, right? So I grew up with thoughts about Lord Rama all the time. So that is another thing that helped me a lot in my life. So it is very important to get into these, know your cultural heritage at a very young age and stick to it, right? Okay, I think we are at the top of the hour. So any questions or comments? Okay, then let's end the session with our prayer. Asatoma Sadgamaya Namasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Sarve Jana
सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त सम्मङ्गलानि सन्तु.
Okay, see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.